All right, just give it a minute. Hey guys, so welcome to our first episode of Tea Time Tuesday, which is inspired by my beautiful friend Lain here, who is also joining us. Hi Lain. Oh, Lain is prepared with her tea as always. I like my reading.
Wifey. It's coffee. Sorry.
Oh no!
I'm
How
not that
dare
prepared.
you? Yes, so we're kind of spontaneously doing this episode, huh? Um, but today we have both actually been very drawn to mantras, and so we decided that this is why we would hop on and kind of talk to you guys a bit about it. Um, First of all, mantras I have been digging into historically, because when you hop on to Google and you type in mantras, it's, top 10 mantras and mantras for abundance and mantras to illnesses. And that's all really great and well. But if you don't really know what you're doing, you don't really know anything about it, I feel like you can be a little lost. Personally, that's my
No, I
experience.
completely agree on that one for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now, don't get me wrong, the very first time I ever sat with our sister tribe and did a mantra, I immediately felt the effects. Like, I felt uplifted and I felt at peace, but I wasn't sure what I was chanting or why I was chanting it. And then it was like, well, how did this all start? So I've been doing some digging, and mantras are over 3,000 years old, which is amazing, I think. And then, of course, as time went on, were adopted by Catholicism and other religions like that. So the the difference between the mantras and then how they were adopted for modern day religion is that there were priests that were called the Brahim, hang on, am I saying that right?
Brahman. I think it's like Brahman.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, much better at the language than I am. So they were the protectors, you might say, of the mantras. They were the carriers of the knowledge, and they were the only ones that were to speak the words. And they were the only ones that passed that knowledge on to their students to take over their place. It wasn't until Hindu yoga schools started opening up and becoming a popularity, and people were training in them, and people from the West were all traveling over, that mantras then started becoming shared publicly. So after I found that out, it's like something you read out of a book, or something you read out of a mystical movie. It just kind of shows how much more sacred a mantra really is. It's not just something to throw out there. They have a lot of power. So that was really all the history I needed to dig into to just be even more blown away by mantras, to be honest.
Well, one thing that I was researching too about it is Sanskrit as a language being not just about like a labeling of certain things. It's about the vibration. Like all these sages and all of these old Indian people were just meditating on what a tree sounds like.
Yes.
And that's what the word came up as. And so it's not necessarily that's a tree because you label it. It's just using it like that's what it sounds like. Sorry, my daughter. What it sounds like. So I thought that was super cool that it's another layer on using Sanskrit as opposed to English, because I started using English because, again, like you said, I had no idea what I was saying and I didn't feel comfortable with that. And so I started with like making my own sort of mantras, like affirmations and stuff. And then once I felt comfortable doing that, then I was like, well, let me look into what these mean, how it's supposed to, vibrate, like all your vibrations and stuff, especially when you also chant it with others. And I think that was the thing where, yeah, it's nice and dandy doing it yourself, but when you get a group of people, it's like you said, mind-blowing, because it's like, whoa, where did that come from? So that's what got me into it, because I had to ease my way in because I didn't really know what I was getting into. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And then that brings me to the goddess Vak, who is the goddess of speech. She's actually a Hindu deity. And that is in the earliest Vedic scriptures, they actually describe it as the goddess. The speech, the Sanskrit language, they describe as being Vak, the goddess. So she is, like I said, a Hindu deity, but she is believed to be the creator of Sanskrit. She sent these messages down, like you said, through the trees and through the earth to be listened to, the vibrations.
Right.
So again, you've got like a higher power there acting in on it. Which does, you know what, I won't get into that right now, but we'll do that one another day. But then another question that I had as well was 108. So we say our mantras in 108. Normally our japa beads or our mala beads are 108. Our Surya Namaskar is 108. So this is obviously another popular question is, why 108? So I looked into that, and as we briefly talked about before the call, it's all to do with many things, but for example, the sun being the diameter of the sun is the distance
From the earth, I think. Uh-oh. I think she had to mute because there's kids. I can definitely write. Okay, so 108 to me, since we're doing this. Yeah, so having that as a sacred number. Oops, mine's coming now. Basically, so that, you know, I think it was the diameter of the sun is the distance from here to the earth. And then basically using the multipliers of 8 is a very, you know, a sacred thing. Like in Catholicism or in Christianity, it's 3, and so it's like there's always some sort of sacred number that you can always find there. So but that 108, even just if you can't get to 108, get somewhere where it's like 8 or 16, or, you know, so you can kind of move on to it as you keep doing it. Because at first I wouldn't be able to do 108 to save my life, because I can't handle sitting for that long when I first started meditating. But I told myself, okay, start with 8 and then move up to 16. Then, you know, and then it slowly was easier, sort of like easing my way into meditating for longer because I used that. So I kind of like using that instead, because 108 sounds kind of scary for a beginner when it comes to mantra. So
yeah, so I mean that's another reason why the numbers 27 and 56 are respected in the mantras, being divisible for 108. But there is also 108 Vedas and Veda scriptures, and 108. I don't want to butcher it. Shandis.
Upanishads.
There you go. Why can't I speak today?
I
really am sorry for butchering everything that I'm talking about. But there's also 108 of those. And then if you look at the Sanskrit alphabet, there is 54 letters for the Sanskrit alphabet. But they are both seen as masculine and feminine. So when you add 54 and 54 together, ta-da, you get 108. So
I didn't know that one. That's cool.
You can't make this stuff up. So and this was all, well, apart from obviously when the Sanskrit was written, but all of these things were here before then. Nobody just decided that the sun and the moon and the earth's relations were going to equal 108. That's not how math works, you know. Nobody just decided to have the Veda scriptures and stop at 108 just because, well, you know what, I feel like it. That's not how it works, you know. So of course everything is just in line there. But Lain, you also wrote a blog about how to, right?
Yeah, it was part of my teacher training, kind of an assignment to delve a little bit deeper into any sort of yogic practice that I wanted to. And mantra is definitely one that, at least right now, for some reason, like you were saying, it like really is pulling me right now. And it makes a lot of sense to me to be like, okay, I need to, my mind's going crazy right now, going a mile a minute, and like getting myself centered using mantra has really been helpful. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a little research. And like I said, the way I started is from English. So getting comfortable with, writing affirmations for yourself. If it's not something that you find online, there's a bunch of different ones you can do, but like, I am peace, loving kindness. That's a very Buddhist thing for metta, like sending loving kindness to yourself and to everyone around you, all the beings and all that stuff. And even if you're having just a cruddy day, I am happy today, and just kind of doing that over and over on your beads or just throughout the day, just to get yourself centered there. But then once you get comfortable with that, there's a couple that you can kind of try. I know you can kind of talk about which ones you've been using recently, but my go-to right now is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. So basically meaning that, hold on, sorry. But just making sure, like, peace to everything. So everything is happy and free, and may I contribute to that happiness. So kind of putting it out into the world that, we're all connected, that we all want to be happy, we all want to be free, and let me help in that. So if you're constantly saying that, super powerful. And once you know what the meaning is, it makes it even that much more like, oh, okay. Because it might be fun to say, but once you know what it's meant to be about, that's the biggest thing. So that's the one I'm working on recently.
So for me, the one I've been working on is it's Om Hram Hreem Hrum Saha Surya Namaha. And it is a mouthful. And I was butchering it to begin with, and I'm not perfect now, I know that, but you really didn't want to hear me beforehand. But for that one, that is a sun salutation mantra. So that is done normally at sunrise, along with your Surya Namaskara. So you also give an offering of water to the earth out of a copper cup or bowl. And so you would just have the water in it, and you would start to pour it out and turning clockwise. And then when you have finished giving your offering, you could sit down and you begin your mantra. There are lots of other ways that I have found people to do it. Some people actually pour the water out while doing the mantra, and then you have to complete the mantra at least 11 times before the water is poured out. Now, I have not been able to master that, and I would rather do this right and comfortably and set my intention and have a blessing practice rather than just constantly be stressing about if I'm doing it right. That's not what this is about, and that's another reason why I'm not so worried if my pronunciation is always correct. Again, historically, it was actually one of the most important things, which is why you only had the priests that were the knowledge keepers of it, and it was important that everything was passed down just the way it was. A lot of stuff wasn't even written, it was all orally transmitted. But of course, now as it became more globally aware, things change, especially when you have accents. So so I really believe that as long as our intention and our heart is in it, that our practice is true.
Oh yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly, because I probably butchered that as well. But if your heart is in the right place, the energy will go where it's supposed to go at that point.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about one more that I like doing. Sorry. I usually do this at the end of each yoga session that I'm doing. But Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Mm.
Hold on. I'm dying. But basically, that's another way of projecting peace and happiness to yourself, to those around you, and also everything, pardon me, that affects you. So just saying Shanti and kind of going through your beads is a big one that I like recently.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Um, and of course, when people do the mantras, they generally like to focus also on one mantra when you're really trying to manifest something. And I wanted to touch on this because it was also a moment of realization. So when people start with a mantra, a lot of people will start researching mantras for abundance, or mantras to cure something, or mantra that's going to give them something, a promotion or something like that. But a mantra isn't a magical cure. You know, it's not a spell that you're casting. A mantra is uh, allowing you to draw in the universal energy, and it's clearing blockages, resistance that you are facing in life right now, and it's opening the doors for you to walk through and are looking for. So as you are repeating this mantra, say for abundance, you're repeating this mantra. A bag of money is not just going to fall in your lap. You know, the mailman's not just going to knock on your door and say, hey, here's your check. You know, that's just not how that works. But if you are chanting for that particular thing, if that's what you are manifesting, then it is clearing blockages, it's removing resistance, it's opening the doors. You just have to be willing to walk through it. When that opportunity arises for that abundance to come into your life, however you are looking at it, it might not even be money, it might be love or happiness or whatever that you're looking for, then you have to just go for it, because this is what you have been asking for, and now the universe is saying, hey, it's here. You asked, we're giving. But then ultimately, and I feel it. I mean, I'm not going to say it as it's quite like that, but you feel calm and you feel still when you start taking a mantra, which is the goal, is to bring stillness to the mind. But the ultimate goal of a mantra is enlightenment. So just complete peace. And as you are manifesting these things and these things are happening, you're just one step closer to being there. Um, so again, it's not a goal factor. It's not like, hey, you're right, we did that, let's go. It's not anything like that. But you know, we all want to find that peace. We all want to be there. And it's nice to have a tool that can aid us in that direction.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just being able to know all of the history that goes into it, and also visualizing that if you're using a mantra that is that old, there's got to be countless people saying that mantra along with you at the same time, which
Yeah.
is kind of crazy to think about, where you're like, you know, any time of the day, somebody, quite a few people probably, are doing that mantra along with you. So you're never alone there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you're just sending vibrations out, and you know what? I feel like you can feel it too, like when you're not alone, even though you are alone. Like you just know,
Mhm.
you know.
That you feel
Um,
that connection because you're using these ancient words and this ancient practice, and you almost even feel like your ancestors, like, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds
yeah.
crazy, but sometimes you just like envision it, like there's so many generations past that are here right now because I am bringing about this memory that they had, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just like I have these constant thoughts of clarity of just, we are not alone, we're never alone, because
Nope.
we are part of who made us, and also we are connected to those people that are across the globe because we are human and we're all connected. So I think that that's the major takeaway from any mantra work that I've ever done.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. So there's people out enjoying.
The nice sun,
Enjoying the
yeah, it's
bright
a beautiful
weather.
day.
Um, so yeah, I guess really, guys, I mean, I know this was really an impromptu call, and I butchered a lot of words, and I apologize for that. But
And a
I
lot of
guess
interruptions, but that's
a
life.
lot of interruptions, but you know what? We're real, you know? Okay? You can't tell me that if you're watching this right now, you didn't have some kid in the background, or the dog is asking to go out, the cat's asking for food. I mean, there's something going on, right?
For
So,
sure.
yeah. So, you know what? Even more reason to carve out that mantra time. Do it. But, so yeah, I want to thank anybody, I guess, who's watching this with me and Lain right now. And if you guys are going to take anything away from this, I would say give it a shot. You know, especially if you've never done it before. Maybe you don't even know what it is. And it doesn't have to be something as what me and Lain says. It literally is a mantra in itself. And I have a friend who personally is not even allowed to do that or namaste in their yoga classes, because of the vision that that studio has, which is fine. But just saying om elevates your vibrations. And whatever background of religion that you are in, it is bringing you one step closer to your god or your goddess. I mean, you can't deny that fact. So, yeah, I mean, just start off with something simple and give it a shot. Oh, and let us know. I want to know how that turns out.
Yeah, what you're trying, what worked. Sometimes it won't work. If it feels silly, it's fine. You can find something else. Maybe it just didn't resonate with you that day. But I know the first couple times I tried, I felt silly because I didn't know what I was doing, and that's fine. That's universal. So
Yes. And this is another reason why to keep your practice going daily as well, because it's not an overnight thing. So as you do it a week or 2 weeks, you're going to start noticing little changes, and then from there, hopefully, some more major changes and shifts in your life.
yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for having me on, Anna. Super
Awesome, Lain. Do you
excited.
want to share your website, your blog, or anything like that, your Facebook?
Yeah. So I run a retreat center in Michigan called Anchorage Retreat Center. So you can find any blogs of mine. There's a lot about yoga, my yogic journey, all that kind of fun stuff. I'm at anchorageretreatcenter.com. I also have a Facebook page, so come like me. I do yoga as well online at the moment. So thank you for having me on, and I enjoy kind of telling people about what I've been learning. So thank you.
Thank you for hopping on, and next week we'll give it another shot. And I'll post Lain's information in the comment box or the YouTube box, wherever you're seeing this right now, down below along with mine. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you, Lain.
Bye.
Bye.